Alright, hi there and welcome to this Piazza overview video. I'm Valmar Belbon from Dreamlight and I'll be your host in this quick overview. And I'm going to cover 5 steps: features, benefits, using the camera presets, using light set, rendering, and some additional post work. So one of the things with this prop is that it's actually the size of it. It's really huge, and the thing that me and Jason from 2Create wanted to achieve is to make it as grand as possible and yet keep it simple to use, so that you get all these details right on the street level, and you can then, back the camera and get this nice overview renders of the city as well. So here we are in DAZ Studio 3 and you can see the entire city, and as you can see it's really large. So I'm gonna demonstrate now how easy it is to use. I'm gonna delete all these sections and I'm gonna expand this view a little bit. So the thing is, when you look at these icons here, they kind of demonstrate what you are going to load. So you have the main streets and pavements, you have the center, you have the background buildings, you have the church terrace, and you have 7 town parts. You can also load the background buildings, individually if you want. In addition, you have these small props you can load as well. So you're not forced to load everything at once. You can load, for example, all the background buildings. Just load the church, and we can include the church terrace as well. And then we just add the streets and pavements, and we are set to go. So now I can zoom in the camera. Actually, I can use the zoom tool here to quickly just get a view. You have that church loaded, and you don't need to load anything else if you don't want to render that. And of course, if you want to expand this, you have town part 1 on this hand here, so you can load town part 1, and you can also load town part 3, which is on this side here, which is right there. So what we did here is that you can easily control. If you take a look at this church here, you see that there's lamps, there's pots, there are benches, and all kinds of details added to that. And you can, in the scene tab, you can look at the church here and see how easily you can control each section. You can, for instance, expand this a bit. Let's say you want to remove all the lamps, so you just make them invisible, and all the lamps are gone. You don't need to select one of them. You just select all of them and they're gone. You can select the pots, just make them invisible as well. And if you want to delete the church pots, you can make that invisible as well. So that's how easily you can control, everything that's showing in the render. So you can, if you like the detail, and you can keep that. If you want to remove it and use something else, you can use that as well. So I'm gonna bring back those pieces and head to the church. And there is some really nice arches here. Alright, so I'm gonna load the additional parts of the city. Actually, I'm gonna just remove it and load everything at once using the preload all icon. And there we go. So another great benefit is the really high-res textures, alright? So I'm gonna bring down the camera close to the wall here and just do a quick render. I'm not using any light set for now, so I'm just gonna place the camera roughly here and just do a rough render here. I'm gonna go into detail of the camera settings in a moment, so you can get pretty close to the walls and textures and still get a nice sharp render. There is some additional features like lots of polygons or surfaces use displacement maps, like the roofs, and even the background buildings use lots of displacement maps to add details in them. So even though things appear to be rather flat from this view, when you render that, you're gonna see some details going on. So let's say we just want to see this roof section here from the background buildings. If you render that, you're gonna see that, you know, everything is extended from the walls and looks non-flat. So that's the thing we wanted to achieve, very large scale, and keep the detail as much as possible. So I'm gonna now load the background. I'm gonna talk about the lights in a moment. Another thing I wanted to address here is the actual I really love detail in props, but one annoying thing is that when you have lots of details on the ground, on the streets, and height variations, those look great, but it's pretty hard to pose figures and characters and cars and stuff like that. So the thing we did is we actually did all the streets plain. So there is no bumps in them, they just looks plain, which makes cars or people, especially animated people, really easy to pose. And the same goes for the paving. When you place someone on the paving here and then move them to the paving here or there, it's the same height. And same goes here, we have lots of details in this texture, so right. So let's make a quick render here. I'll just quickly delete the light set to just make a quick render of this ground to show you how the textures work in close-up. Alright. So this prop comes with 50 camera presets. You can load them by going to the cameras folder and double click on the camera presets. And then you can just, you know, select them. And of course you can load the lights. You can see the sky as well in there. And there is one light set in 3 versions coming along this package: default, quality, and speed. So you can select if you want, you know, high quality or normal render, or if you want fast render. So the thing when using the camera preset is that they are made with 16:9 screen ratio, so make sure you select widescreen here, 16:9. Then you can basically, you know, just load the preset and readjust it if you need to. I mean, you can always move the camera and add your own touch to it. So using the light set is pretty easy. All you do is select the quality you want, and you can change them anytime you wish as well. Just delete them from your scene. If you don't want the quality, you can just load the speed or default one. And all you do is actually just select the camera angle of your choice and hit render. I mean, everything is pre-done and preset and ready to render right from the as soon as you open up the scene. And that's pretty much it. You can cancel this, select just a different angle, and hit render. Alright, now there are 2 things you can do to improve your renders, and one of them is the render settings, and the other one is actually the actual position of the sun, because a city of this magnitude, you have to get really nice lighting, you have to pay attention to where the sunlight is. So I'm gonna go ahead and cancel this. And render settings, one of the most important things and often overlooked is the pixel samples X and Y. You want to keep them as low as possible, and often you can get away with 3 on each of them, but 4 is a little bit more quality, especially on the lighting. And shading rate, don't overkill. 0.2 is gonna look really great, but it's gonna take a long time to render. So you can get away with, I'd say 1, but if you want a little bit more quality, go for 0.8. You can also go to 0.4, which is really good looking, but it's going to take longer to render. So when you're using the some of the camera presets have DOF, depth of field, and if you're using those, you want to keep your pixel samples at maybe 10 or 12. But if you are not, if you're just using a straight render, then at 4 is going to be more than enough to get great quality. So the other thing is that you might want to try to re-angle the sunlight. Can I show you one of the camera presets here? Let's see, select one that. So the main promotion render was actually this one slightly angled. So the thing I did was change the select custom. Whoops. That. So I can then lock the proportions and to a slightly higher quality render, let's say maybe 700. Alright, so now I have a standing render, so I just re-aim the camera. So roughly this is what I did to get the main promotion render that's looking like this. I just placed the camera like that. And the thing is, if you're having a city or buildings and stuff like that, often it's really nice to get, if you take a look at this, you see that the lighting is coming from the side, slightly from behind, and slightly from above. And that's the best, in most cases, the best angle to have the sunlight. So use that as a slight backlight, sidelight / top light to give the city a little bit more structure and depth, and a little bit, you want to play with the dark and light areas of it to give it a little bit more definition. Alright, so the thing you're going to do here is to select the sunlight from the camera menu and just make sure you have a slight, the camera is placed there, by the way, facing the church and the street. So you're going to have a little bit from the side, a little bit from behind, a little bit from above, and just give that a go. Alright, and the only thing you need to do is to hit render, and the rest of the light set will fill in the blanks for you. So instead of waiting for this render to finish, I'm gonna load this exact render in the GIMP, which is a free 2D graphic software. You can download that from gimp.org. And here we have the final render in the GIMP. Not sure if there's a setting of 75%. There is, good. So first thing you want to do is I'm gonna place my layer window here so you can see what's going on. These changes take a couple of minutes and they really add to the render. As you can see here, this looks a little bit more advanced than just a straight render. And first thing we want to do is to, and my window disappear. There we go. You want to lower the color, so go to the saturation and just lower that a few steps. How much depends how much you want, but just a little bit less color makes that a less obvious that it's 3D, because 3D graphics often, adds slightly too much color to the renders. Alright? So the next thing you can do is to duplicate this layer. So select duplicate, select screen, which is mask in Swedish, by the way, and you immediately get this nice kind of different feeling to this render. And the thing you do here is that you, most often artists are avoiding overpowering stuff. They keep like the bright parts like bright but not overpowered, so to speak. And if you take a look at the sunlight now, it's kind of very bright here. It looks pretty much washed out, and this is what most artists are afraid of. And I would say try that. Try overpowering your image. Try because if you go out in nature doesn't care if you have limits, on lighting or not. It just is, So try playing with the intensities to get a little bit more natural look. And why I didn't add that in the light set naturally is because I want you to be able to control, to have like kind of a starting point where you can start and then add your own, you can always increase the lighting in that studio as well. I'm going to show that in a moment. So when that's done, you can go back to the main layer. You want to add some unsharp mask. It's going to make the image slightly more sharp. 0.5 pixels, just a slight amount, not too much. Makes the image slightly sharper, alright? The next thing I'm going to do is add, at the bottom layer, I can add something called glow, soft glow. What soft glow does, it's kind of selecting the bright parts in the image and makes them glowing. So if I add that, you immediately see that the image now becomes a bit more glowed here in those areas here. Only the bright parts, those darker parts doesn't glow as much. So the next thing you can add here is actually, you can create a new layer, transparent, and just roughly paint some kind of a additional glow here, and you can fill that with white. And if you don't like white, you can always recolor that to a different color. So I'm going to use the screen on that as well, screen layer mode. And I simply deselect that and select Gaussian blur. And select a pretty large number. Let's try 100, see what happens. See if 100 is enough. No, I need some more. And I add this to add this kind of outdoors shine from the sunlight. Let's try 200. How many pixels you use depends on the size of your image as well. Alright, so now we can just lower that intensity to something more decent. And what this does is it adds a little bit of the light kind of shining through and adding on top of these buildings. And we are pretty much close. We are roughly there where the promotion image is. You can always play more with it. You can add more. You can just select duplicate this one and continue to overpower that as much as you like, and that's gonna make the shadows less dark, and it's gonna make the bright parts brighter, so it's gonna expand on the view. And it's up to you, your personal taste, how much you need. Alright, so I'm gonna quickly show you how you can just change the intensities back in the studio of the light set if you want to. If you want to render with a more overpowered lighting from the start, the lights is kind of divided into three sections. One of them is the ambient light, which is the overall lighting. And just select all of these ambient lights in there. And they are set to 1.8 as default. You can increase that, which will make the render less dark in the shadows, and frankly make all of it brighter all over. Then you have the sunlight, and that's the single light that's creating the sunlight effect. You can increase the intensity right here. And so you have this skylight. 4 lights here, and it's an offset folder here. You have 4 more, and that's in the quality preset. You have less lights in the other sets. So you can just select all of them, and you can control the intensity here. So if you select a brighter number here, like 50 or 60, you're gonna get a brighter skylight. So yeah, that's roughly it. You can either play here in the studio, or you can play in here in Postwork. That's up to you, whether it suits your needs. Alright, and that's it. If you want to learn more about DAZ Studio, lighting, or Postwork, you can take a look at our website, www.dreamlight3dtraining.com. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.